Phoenix firefighters, employees, had returned from a call for service. And when they arrived back at the station and pulled into the lot, they noticed that either interior lights or dome lights within their vehicles were illuminated. And when they went over to check out the area, they saw there were two men hiding behind a vehicle in the parking lot. It appeared as though those men had disturbed their vehicles, possibly committing a crime. The firefighters approached those two men, who then fled and jumped over the fence, which is the fence separating and basically encapsulating the fire station. Once these two men were on the other side of the fence line, they were no longer pursued by the firefighters. But as they walked away from the station, one of the suspects turned around, brandished a gun, and fired 3 rounds at the firefighters. Fortunately, none were struck, but the rounds did strike the fire station itself. Phoenix police officers and MCSO deputies responded to the area, tried to secure the space, conducted an extensive search of the area for a lengthy period of time, but were unsuccessful in identifying or locating any suspects. Once detectives from the sheriff's office responded, they conducted a thorough review of the area and were able to obtain physical evidence. That physical evidence was processed and led to the identification of one suspect. So the following day, investigators briefed our SWAT team as well as our fugitive apprehension and tactical enforcement team. These are both units that are trained specifically in location and apprehension of dangerous fugitives. They were briefed on the identity of the first suspect, and within 1 hour of the briefing, they were able to locate and apprehend him without incident. An interview of that suspect gave them further detail and information, confirming that he was a participant in the crime that we're describing, and information to assist us in identifying the second suspect. The FATE team then responded to a residence in an effort to locate and apprehend the second suspect. As they got into the area, he was visually identified driving a vehicle that had been described with 2 female occupants in the vehicle with him. He drove that vehicle into the area of what was 48th Street in Broadway Road. This would have been Friday evening at about, it was Friday evening. I'll have to check on the time for you to confirm. But once he pulled into that parking lot, the 2 female occupants exited the car and went inside one of the stores. Our FATE team felt that because the vehicle was stationary and that the occupant appeared to be alone in the vehicle, and they had control of that space, that it was the most effective and safe area to try to take him into custody. They exited their vehicle once they were able to use it to block that car in its space. They were all wearing identifiable law enforcement placards. As they approached the vehicle, they illuminated it with their lights, identified themselves as law enforcement officials, and directed the driver occupant to put his hands in the air where they could see them. He immediately exited the vehicle. He had his hand in a position either near his side or to the back where he was trying to conceal it. He then closed the door, turned on the deputies, brandished a firearm, at which point both non-lethal and then lethal force was delivered. The suspect was shot. He later died of those injuries. The area was secured. The 2 female occupants were located and interviewed. We also found that there was a toddler child inside the vehicle that was not in the line of sight, was unharmed. We secured the area and continued with the investigation.